welcome to Auto Arcadia. I'm one of the hosts, Colin Wood, and with me is
Thomas Hope.
the other host, funnily enough. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good. I am good. How are you getting on?
I'm smashing, man. Exciting times and all that.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
We're getting there now. So, I've got an idea of what I want to talk about tonight,
Lay it on me.
and that is motorsport, or more specifically, cheating in motorsport.
Ooh, absolutely love it.
Yes,
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
that's it. If you can't beat them, cheat.
Absolutely. Cool.
So, with that in mind, is there any that are that stick in your mind as like class examples of this before I get like dived into what I've got prepared?
I'm sure I've read or heard about some of them in the past, many moons ago, because I do love it. But a lot of the ones I know at the moment, sadly, they're F1 related, and they're not always cheating with F1. It's more just like really creative interpretation of the rules that then has to be like tweaked out, if you know what I mean. It's not like there's not so many instances of overt cheating. Not to say that there hasn't been, but
Yeah,
we talked about that in the F1 episode. So I'm not interested in hearing about any F1 cheating. I know NASCAR, prolific for cheating.
yeah. There's some really good ones in WRC as well.
Oh, I don't know very much about the WRC ones. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, no worries, man. Well, just before we dive into it, I think there's a bit of a line though, because F1, like as soon as you brought it up, I was like, yes, because I mean, there's, I'm not sure if all of these are explicitly cheating. Like, I think some of them are just innovation in a really nice grey area, but I don't think you could call it an outright cheat.
Yeah, I totally know the ones.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to kick off with a couple. The WRC one that I'll absolutely adore, and it's restrictor plate gate.
It's always a gate, isn't it?
It is. It's always gate. Do you know the thing? There's a thing about. Oh, fuck, we're on a tangent already. You know Watergate,
Yeah, of course.
like the FBI one. That really annoys me. It annoys Bex as well because it's Watergate, but that's the name of the hotel.
Yeah.
The hotel was called Watergate, so it's actually Watergate Gate. This is just fucking stupid, like.
Absolutely, yeah. Or people should be saying it's, restrictor plate Watergate.
Yeah.
Fair. I mean, I imagine it's a fairly small beef, and people might agree with you, but it's not like it's not like a daybreaker.
Yeah, it's not going to ruin my day.
Totally. Although I do find when they just slap gate on the end of anything that's like a scandal, it's played out a little bit.
No, it tends to get overplayed is the best way to put it, as you put it there. Now, I'm starting off with an absolute humdinger, by the way, because restrictor plate gate, Max Mosley, the FIA president, came out and was like, it's the most sophisticated form of cheating I've ever seen in 30 years in motorsport.
Nice. Honestly, I'd take that as a real compliment. I'd be like, you're damn right it was. I put effort into that cheating.
That is an absolute win. So, and it got Toyota banned from WRC for a year, but they never really went back to it after this. They kind of left and didn't go back until fairly recently with Gazoo Racing.
Can I ask a question, right?
Hit me.
Did Toyota need to cheat? Were they not competitive?
So, it's right around the time when everyone was going to like hatchbacks.
Right.
And basically the ST205 shape in Celica, the one with the 4 headlights at the front, Toyota wanted to run with that chassis, so they were kind of like a power to weight ratio disadvantage almost.
Right. Okay. So I take it in WRC, they obviously the engine regs were tightened so that your engine could really only produce a certain amount.
Yeah. So
and you obviously had a minimum weight, but I take it Toyota were probably struggling to hit that minimum weight.
Yeah, man. So they've been really, really tight on engine regulations since Group B, essentially.
I could understand why.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolute lunacy, Group B. And most of the WRC cheats, there's this and another 2, I think, that I've got an eye on. They all revolve around fucking around with restrictor plates on turbos. in
Yes,
one
and
form or another.
the restrictor plates are, for our uninformed.
So you've got this restrictor that goes in the nose of the turbo, and it essentially restricts the amount of airflow that you can get. Now,
It's
to
basically
be
a metal
fair,
plate
well,
with a
it's a
hole in
bit
it.
more than a metal plate. It's like a machined piece. So
So a
what I'll
metal
do,
plate with measurements, yeah?
yeah, hold on, I'll send you a link because if you can see this, I think you'll appreciate it a lot more, like a lot more. So
Okay.
they engineered this restrictor plate, and when they tightened the hose clips on the fixings that secured it into the turbo, it basically, as soon as you tightened it down, it pulled the restrictor plate out, and it gave like an extra 5 mil to get more airflow through. And there was like beveled washers in it that helped it. And when you released the hose clamps, it reset itself into the correct position. It took them like, I think it was maybe 2 seasons to actually find this.
Mm,
Like,
I
so when you
see.
actually, like, when the scrutineers took the inlet pipework apart, everything looked perfect. Like, nobody could find it.
So how did they find out in the end?
So there was a tech inspector that discovered like a hairline fracture in the restrictor plate. Like, while the plate itself was legal, the inspectors discovered it was installed and tightened into place using hidden beveled springs or beveled washers. And when you tighten it down, they would push the restrictor plate further out from the turbo by about 5 mil.
Right.
It doesn't sound a lot, but it was enough to get an additional 50 horse,
Oh,
which that's a lot.
that's a
Like,
pretty big number for 5 mil.
yeah, I mean, the thing you have to realize as well is they run massive, massive boost pressures because of this restrictor plate because you're trying to get as much out of it as possible. But
Right, okay.
so essentially, what happens is this restricts the airflow into your turbo, but when it lifts out with the 5 mil, it lets air flow round the restrictor plate, man, and just in, and it was absolute genius. I
Absolutely,
love
yeah, I
it.
totally agree. This is great engineering.
Yeah, like this is a beautiful solution to a problem that should never have existed
So
with
what
rallying.
happened? I want to know. Like, so the mechanic discovered it, and it was just a case of straight in front of the FIA, bang, guilty, stripped of your points for that season, banned for the next season. Is that the kind of the general outcome?
Yeah, man, pretty much.
How long did they
They
manage
they
to run it?
they ran it for a while, so they did because they received a 12-month ban, and the drivers were stripped of all points and disqualified for the rest of the season.
Ouch.
It was a big deal, and like when the de-restrictor was running, like Toyota drivers filled two out of the top four positions in the championship.
Nice. Was it won by a Toyota driver as well?
Yes, I believe it was. It was 95, and like this, it was so beautifully done. There's one other rally one as well, which comes to mind, and it was like 2003, and it was when like McRae was fucking absolute on his dinger, and it was the Ford Focus RS rally car. Now,
Was that the wee hatch? Yeah.
yeah, it was the wee hatchback, like the Mark One Focus.
Oh yeah, so in the white Ford rally livery, white and blue.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I think there may have been like a model of that kicking about somewhere when I was little.
Oh, I remember seeing that possibly. I can't remember now.
I think I was quite into Fords when I was younger. I had a model Cosworth as well. You know, with the whale tail.
Yeah, man, that's peak Ford rallying right there.
Yeah, it wasn't in rally colours. It was in metallic green. Actually, the same metallic green that I had my Fiesta in.
That's class.
The closest I'll ever get to owning that car, I suppose. Just a Ford in the same colour.
Oh yeah, like the fanboys have got hold of the pricing scheme on that. Like, you're big money for a Cosworth RS now.
Aye, totally. They're so much money that I'd have something else.
Yeah, I just wouldn't buy one. They're too expensive.
Aye.
For like, it would have to have been like your poster car growing up for
Yeah,
to like.
totally. Or one of your mates had one when you were younger, or like someone you knew when you were younger had one, and there's like mad nostalgia for that thing.
Oh yeah, especially to spend like 70, 80 grand on one. Like that's ludicrous money.
Totally. Like, you know the. Do you remember we were looking on Auto Trader ages ago, and there was that one Focus RS, the Mark II RS, and they wanted
Yeah,
109,000 for it, which is like insane. But like that's almost like, a car that people our age could have conceivably owned when they were relatively cheap and stuff like that.
yeah.
And not that much later, people are wanting mental money for them.
Oh yeah. Like, can you imagine what like a good Yaris GR is going to be worth in like 10, 20 years time?
Yeah, absolutely. Those things will totally hold value. I completely
They are
agree.
definitely going to be an absolute collector's icon
Yeah.
later. Like,
I always feel like I'm cursed by being like actually quite a good judge of what cars will be like, worth a bit in the future, but just totally locked out of owning any of them at any point.
yeah, I feel the same. Like, I remember when S14s were like 200 quid with a year's MOT on them. It's like if I'd bought £1,000 worth of Nissan S14s in the early 2000s and then kept them till now, I would be, well, I wouldn't be retiring, but I'd definitely be half a mortgage down, put it that way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, honestly, that's like why I'm like, I would never give up a car. If I had space to keep them, I'd just keep all of them. You
That's
know?
fair.
And I'd collect them. I'd collect them. I'd be one of those people that has that field, and they're just there's too much.
You'd be one of those people whose doors I keep knocking on.
and I'm like, nah, I'll get around to it.
And I'd be standing there like, you've never got to get round to it.
Yeah,
Look at
nah,
it.
and you'd be
There's
right.
a fucking tree growing through it.
Oh God, I know. Anyway, sorry, man. So the World Rally Championship 2003.
No, absolutely, man. Hey, it would not be Auto Arcadia if we didn't veer off wildly on a tangent every now and again.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, right. Next one. This is the last one that kind of springs to my mind with WRC, but it was the Ford Focus RS, and it was found in 2003, and they actually managed to last like 3 rallies before it was discovered and banned.
Okay, was that just 3 rally stages? Like events?
No, three complete rallies.
What, you mean the championship?
Hmm.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
so they've been using it since 2000.
Yeah, man. And it's much the same idea as Toyota, but totally different approach to it. So like Toyota wanted to move the air restrictor to let more air in, but Ford had a different idea. So they built a massive, well, it wasn't massive, it was hidden under the back bumper. It was like an air tank essentially, right? And then they would pipe air from the turbo to the air tank and then back. So basically what was happening is they were making boost and pressurizing the whole system. So when they came off the throttle, it housed pressurized air from the turbo during off throttle driving because you've got anti-lag, so it's always making boost. And instead of just venting it off, it was boosting it to this tank at the back of the car. And then on a long straight, the drivers could release the air back into the engine because it was coming
at their control, not just when they got back on throttle.
yeah, on their control. So essentially, like, you're boosting extra air in at your control when you need it. So then it's injecting extra fuel to go with that air, and then it's making masses of power.
Interesting, yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'd be really interested. I wonder if they put it in the rear bumper because that extends the length of the pipework for it as well.
Well, you see, because my initial thought on this was like, well, the internet's thought on this would be like, long pipework means more lag. But in this scenario where you're trying to store stuff, like, long pipework means more storage volume.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and like, the thing is as well, like, depending on how you set it up, you could actually store air at greater than boost pressure. You know, you can store more in the tank so that you get more time out of the pass back in. Yeah.
I wonder if running it through a long pipe and towards the rear also helps cool it a little bit.
Yeah. It would do actually, because you mean you've got all this airflow under the car that's got to be blasting past this tank and all the pipework. So it would be quite cool.
And you're a big long metal pipe.
Yeah.
Plenty of surface area in that.
Definitely. it's an ingenious solution to the problem.
Yeah,
The
it
thing that
really is, totally.
absolutely boggles me though is that it lasted 3 complete rallies before it was discovered and banned. Because how often do you see cars with no bumpers in a rally?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. That's such a great
How
point.
how the back bumper didn't get ripped off and somebody was like, "That's a very shiny looking titanium tank under that bumper. I wonder what purpose that serves."
Absolutely,
Um,
all they're driving is just given one instruction: just don't have the rear bumper fall off.
yeah,
Crash forwards.
yeah, that's it. But no, I mean, I think that's class. Like, I do like them. Like, these are pretty cool ways to cheat.
Yes. Do you love a good engineering cheat?
I do. I love a good engineering cheat, and th- this is why I kind of struggle with not going to like Formula One because so many of the cheats are fantastic.
There's been some
Like
cool developments.
there has, although before we on because you before we get on to fucking hell, man, why can I not talk? 2 seconds.
No worries, dude.
So before we get on to Formula One, I want to hit quite possibly one of the best sports for cheating ever.
Okay. Does it begin with an
NASCAR.
N?
It does. And there's one guy who just stands head and shoulders above everybody here, and it's Smokey Yunick.
Okay.
And when you see a name like Smokey Yunick, you just know this guy's gonna be fucking wild.
Okay, so when in NASCAR? What year are we talking?
So we're talking like 60s. I'm not sure on the exact year. Late 1960s.
Okay.
And my favourite one, absolute favourite one, was like he wasn't refueling as often as everybody else. So they were like, right, car out, we need to inspect the fuel tank. They took the tank out, they measured everything. They're like, oh, it's absolutely perfect. Like, it's millimetre perfect. In the rules, it's all homologated and everything. There's nothing wrong. And like, he just jumped in his car and then drove off, leaving the fuel tank there. And the reason he'd done it was he put like 100 feet of fuel line in the car. So he had like 3 gallons of fuel just in the fucking fuel pipes. So like he was filling his tank, but then because he was filling all the fuel lines first, he had an extra 3 gallons on top of everyone else. And like there was no rule about this as well. Like a lot of the stuff that Smokey did, it was just
Like
there was
just
no
pushing
rule that
the
said
envelope a little bit.
yeah, he was like, "There's no rule that says I can't."
Totally.
So
Like
um,
I love the what's the expression? In the spirit of the rules.
yes,
Stuff that's maybe not in the spirit of the rules, but is technically in the rules.
yeah, like it's not illegal. So it's like yeah, just fucking it is what it is. And there was loads of stuff. Like he once got the car and modified it to lift the floor plan, and then he got another car and modified it to make the roof shorter, like as in shorter vertically. And there's like a myth that he rebuilt. This is the best one. So he rebuilt a Chevrolet Chevelle in 7/8 scale.
All right.
Like, as in, he rebuilt a whole car to be 1/8 smaller than the actual full size one. And then he done another one and parked it in the car park. And they're like, this is illegal. He's like, no, it's not. Silhouette's fine. Goes outside and gets this Chevrolet Chevelle that's parked outside innocuously. And it's like, it's the same as this. This is a full size car.
Oh my god, that's absolutely wild.
It's mental. But like the chassis that he used in '67, for example, it was custom built by Chevrolet, and like this was a thing at the time. They were providing backdoor support to certain racers.
Oh really?
Yeah, there was a. I'll finish this and then I'll tell you one actually. So it had reworked suspension, a roll cage that tied into like the subframes and through the firewalls, and it was effectively a tube framed racer.
Aye, okay.
And Chevy also did like an exhaustive aerodynamics program on Yucknick's car. And basically it was like that was like Chevrolet backdoor support. Like it had fantastic aerodynamics. It was basically tube framed. But then in '68, Smokey came back with another Chevelle, but he built this one himself.
Right. Okay.
So the chassis was similar, and like, but he set the body back a couple of inches on the frame for better weight distribution.
Okay. Fuck, that's quite a big change.
Yeah, so the chrome front bumper was deepened so it would act as an air dam,
Right.
and
Yeah. Okay.
all the rain gutters on the roof and all the glass trim were made flush with the body, so there was less drag. And the roof's trailing edge, so instead of having like the roof's trailing edge being the same as like a normal model, it was upswept to act as a spoiler.
Oh, nice. Honestly, this is just impressive. This is just
I know.
a really impressive level of just doing it yourself.
Like for a one man to do all this, it's just fantastic. And then he also modified the underbody. So like the floor pan was smoother, so it cleaned all the airflow out. And NASCAR found all this out. they called foul on it and banned it from competing in the Daytona 500 unless you
got in.
It was like, I know, it's fucking balls, isn't it? Like, just come on, look at the work the guy did.
What you do is you let them race, and then you ban them after the race, so you get to see something absolutely smoke everyone.
Oh yeah, like you want to see people getting slapped about, Ken.
That's amazing. That guy sounds like an absolute genius.
Oh, like just fantastic guy. So basically, they were like, unless you change 9 different aspects of the car, you're not racing.
Fundamental aspects of the car as well.
Yeah, like it's not actually. Well, I say it's not actually. Like it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but I mean, they do tend to take it a bit seriously in motorsport.
They do. Like they like their rules, and they don't like people fucking with their rules. Neither they do. But I just think he's absolutely fantastic. There was some of his earlier stuff as well from like the 50s. So like he ran an engine in opposite rotation.
Right, why?
I don't even know why he did it. There was an advantage somewhere. It was something to do with reverse torque. So he engineered an engine to run backwards. So it ran anti-clockwise instead of clockwise.
Huh.
And then in '64 he had the Hurst floor shifter special, where the driver sat alongside the engine and the fuel tank in a sidecar style pod.
Oh, wait, what? That sounds so sketchy.
Yeah, so basically
the engine, dangerous enough, but no, also the fuel tank.
Yeah, so he had the driver sat in like a pod that was beside all this in the car. It was all to do with like altering the weight distribution and stuff.
Oh, I mean, I totally understand why. Like, it makes sense, but it's just the very, very dangerous option.
Oh, yeah.
This man was more concerned with going fast than his own life.
Oh, yeah. Easily. It's so much so. And, you know, there's... he's actually to thank for really the modern state of F1 and open wheel race cars. Because in 1962, open wheel racing was changed because he put a wing on Jim Rathman's car. And I think it was one of the first wings fitted. And it just gave it the advantage in corners, but slowed down on the straights because of the lag, the drag, sorry. But its lap times were reduced massively. So the seed was kind of sowing, you know?
Yeah, so totally. I mean, 62, that's really, really early for, wings starting to appear on race cars.
Oh, yeah.
To my knowledge, anyway.
The guy was a visionary.
Yeah, honestly, this guy just really impresses me.
I know, like, this is what I mean. Like, is so much of the cheating could arguably be said to be innovation.
100%, right? Genuinely, the only difference is how people... maybe not the only difference, but sometimes a big difference can be how people perceive it, you know? Because, like, There's been a lot of innovations in F1 that have subsequently been adopted by everyone that are, were quite intense interpretations of the rules. I'm pretty sure the double diffuser was, kind of not necessarily in the spirit of the rules, but then everyone adopted it.
Yeah, like the thing is, I understand why the rules exist, but I don't like that they exist. But I understand, like, I know we can't have anarchy in motorsports because it would be ludicrous. It
Yeah,
would take about 13 seconds before everyone had 9 million horsepower in a car that weighed 500 kilos.
absolutely. And I mean, if you're going to do that, you may as well just do it away with, like racing conduct rules as well, and just let real motorsport descend into like a Forza lobby.
Yeah, so like the option is we have the rules and we have actual good quality motorsport, or like you say, a Forza lobby, which is a terrifying prospect.
It's absolute carnage.
So yeah, like, but Smokey, absolute best example of this, I think, is you have to work inside the rules to be as competitive as possible, and like if it gets found out that it's like, oh well, actually that's kind of cheating, so be it. Like, you've got to take the risk, haven't you?
Yeah, some people are just willing to push until they find that limit.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a little bit of this, right, where people are very much like, and I think touring cars is probably the bigger offender here. But I remember reading an interview, and there was a guy telling a story, and it was like, if he used to work in motorsport, and it was like a few years ago, he was standing beside a team manager, and there were like a number of cars in the same class as his car. The team manager's car came down the pit straight, and another car in the same class came from behind and overtook it. And the guy was like, the team manager just turned around to me really calmly and went, "That car that just overtook mine." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "It's not legal." And he's like, "But how can you be that sure that it's not legal?" And he goes, "Well, it's faster than my car, and my car's not legal either."
To what extent do you think everyone is at it?
Do you know what, man? I think it's a bit like speeding.
Right, okay.
Everybody speeds, but it's when you do something truly spectacular or truly just mental that you get huckled for it. Like if you're driving down the motorway and you're at 85 mile an hour with the cruise control stuck on, and it's relatively quiet, and you're not weaving about and you're not doing anything stupid, the police are not going to pull you over. Well, might not pull you over. But you know what I mean.
That's a bold statement.
I mean, I've went past the police on the motorway plenty of times doing like 85, 90 mile an hour on cruise control, just chilling, and they've not even looked at me. But if I was doing 110 and weaving all over the place, that would catch the attention. So like I think it's more of a case of like, if it's something that's putting your car wildly outside the norm, you're probably going to get huckled for an inspection,
Yeah, the more extreme it is,
Yeah.
the more a kind of less okay it is.
Yeah. I think it's like anything. I mean, everyone knows that it's going on, Like, if there wasn't like a certain amount of acceptance over it, the likelihood is we would never see any innovation.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well, yeah. Like, you do get a bit of innovation out of pushing the boundaries of the rules.
Absolutely. And without the innovation, motorsport's dead in the water. Like, it's kind of fucked, I mean, if it wasn't for, like, forward steps in Formula One, how much of the technology we currently have on road cars just wouldn't be here?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, I understand why you would want to control the development of cars in racing, like spec series essentially, because, it gives a level playing field and it makes it more of a race. But at the same time, some of the most, like, interesting stuff has come out of kind of less restricted racing series, like Can-Am and early Formula One and I mean NASCAR as well, and also like Group B rally.
Yeah, absolute full agreement with you there, man. And like, do you know my favorite? My favorite one is hill climbing.
Oh yeah, okay.
see, we've got a wee divergence for the topic, but like there's a Facebook group called Hill Climb Monsters, and it's absolutely fantastic. And you literally see everything from like a 1200 brake horsepower 997 911 turbo through to a Hillman Imp with a Hayabusa engine in it. And it's like the standard of vehicle is just fantastic. Like it doesn't really matter what you've got. They're like, just get it, make it light, make it fast, send it up the hill, and that's it.
Yeah, hill climb vehicles get quite extreme.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, an absolute classic for me is the Escudo Pikes Peak.
Oh yes. So many Gran Turismo 2 memories coming back now.
So many strong memories. That thing could wall ride.
But, like, proves the point perfectly that in the early 90s, when most supercars had like 300 to 400 brake horse, there was a Suzuki hatchback with the most ludicrous aero you could imagine.
Mm.
An engine in the front, an engine in the back, and 1200 brake horsepower.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. They were like, oh, we'll just put 2 motors in it.
It's what happens when you just say to your engineers, you're like, you know, there's an unlimited class here where we can literally do whatever we want. Just go nuts. Blank check, carte blanche, fire on, lads. And they're like, yes.
Now, what a job that would be.
Oh yeah.
Right, guys, we've got this kind of frame, this chassis. We need to make it go up this hill as fast as possible.
And literally the only constraint is it has to have an engine. It can't have a rocket motor. That's it. Like, but yeah, no, like I really do think we'd be in a pretty poor place if it wasn't for cheats in motorsport.
I agree. I totally agree. I think it would be less interesting if everyone followed the rules all the time.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, like, see when you see a really strong car, like it might just be because they've never been found out. Like,
yeah,
that, you know, there's one actually here, and it's like the way they got found out very much is what we've just spoken about, where we think like everyone's at it, but it's when you do something absolutely ludicrous that it's like, oh no, we need to inspect him.
Okay, you've got my attention.
And it was the Trans Am Championship, the driver, Mark Donoghue.
Right.
And it was in 1967 in his Roger Penske Camaro. And he won 3 races that year, but it was the win in the last race that he done that raised all the eyebrows.
Okay.
He lapped the entire field.
What track was it at?
I don't know. It'll be whatever one. I don't know, bud. In all honesty.
No, that's totally fair.
So what they'd done was as they were prepping the car, they had like this bare chassis, and they were dropping them in acid baths.
Yeah, okay.
To make the metal thinner.
Mm-hmm.
And so the class minimum weight for the car was 1,250 kilos.
Okay.
And the Camaro was 110 kilos lighter than
that. That's quite a lot.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's impressive. Was that just from acid dipping?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's amazing though, because like if you don't think about metal, think about paint here. Because if you so when I sprayed the Supra, there would have been a couple of tubs of body filler that went on. So you can say that's like 5 kilos. On an extreme day, there was nowhere near 5 kilos on it. But if you have 2 big tubs, 2.5 kilos each, that's 5 kilos. It's probably like 1.5 kilos in total that I used that was rubbed down.
Right, okay, yes.
But then you've got like 20 litres of underseal. Fucking hell, man. You've got like 20 litres of undercoat. Now, it's not quite like water. Like a litre doesn't equal a kilo. It'll actually equal more. So if say that's 25 kilos there, right? Then I'd done like 25 litres of top coat or colour. So you could say there that's easily 30 kilos. So you're at like 60 kilos already. And then probably a good 15 litres of lacquer over the top. So there's 18 kilos there. So I mean, you're nearly 100 kilos in paint.
That sounds insane, man. Hold on. Like, I get paint heavy. Like, I know it does all add up, but 100 liters, that's insane. I'm fact checking you here.
I mean, a litre of water is equal to a kilo, and paint's got a higher specific gravity.
You're totally right. It is high. It will be much higher.
Now, I will say this as a little caveat. I used a lot more paint on the Supra than I did than most anything I'll use anywhere. Like even a standard car from the factory wouldn't have that level of paint. But I was doing a coat, a top coat, and then I was wet and drying the whole car with like 2,500 grit paper, and then I was spraying it again, and I was looking for like this deep, lustrous mirror finish, which is why I used so much fucking paint. And it looked fantastic, to be fair. But I mean, yeah, if you're questioning getting that out of the metalwork by acid dipping, I mean, just do a before and after weight on a car after stripping the paint, and I think you'll be surprised how much you lose.
I mean, I suspect you would lose a few kilograms.
I reckon your average car would lose about between 10 and 20 kilos.
Yeah, okay, I could totally get on board with that. Yeah, like maybe 25 for like.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it's a sizable amount, and I bet if you dipped the actual metal, like steel is fairly heavy.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a car body made of like 1.5 mil steel everywhere, which is actually quite thick, but say 1.5 mil, for instance, and it weighs 800 kilos. If you take that down to a mil, that's the best part of like 200 kilos you've lost, because you've lost a third of the material.
Yeah, no, that's a big saving, like 100%. That's a big saving.
But yeah, I just thought that was class, and apparently, like the cars were so flimsy after this acid dipping that like they sagged, like physically sagged, until they had the roll cages and stuff in to solidify them up again. And I just think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, that they must have been thin.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. So, who was the kind of creator of that? The cheat head honcho.
I don't actually know who's responsible for the brainwave, but I know Donahue, the driver, was disqualified. It's probably Roger Penske, and that's the team owner. So I would imagine it's like him or his like engineers or someone in the team that's came up with it.
Yeah, totally fair. I recognise the name Penske as a big American racing name.
The other one as well. Mind how you were saying about the backdoor support that Smokey got?
Yeah, that really surprised me.
Yeah, well, do you know how it was basically legalised cheating,
I mean,
and I forget,
it does feel a bit unfair, that.
It does. And I forget where I heard this. I'm sure it was an interview or something online, or possibly something I read. And they basically wanted to upgrade the brakes in this class racing thing in America.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the rules was if it's made by Chevrolet, you can use it. And they basically went to Porsche and bought a load of brake calipers and then took them to a Chevrolet dealership and were like, can you create a stock code for these so that they're a Chevrolet part? And then bought them over the counter and used them.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's amazing.
Which, that is just the absolute fantastic, amazing.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know if that's true, but I hope to God it is. Because that is fantastic.
Yeah, I like that one.
There's another one, actually, that popped into my head about WRC as well. I think we'll make this the last one before we go into Formula One, because I'm really looking forward to getting into the Formula One stuff.
Okay, cool. These have been great. Some of this stuff I definitely have never heard before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, This one, I think, this one is like there's no innovation here. This is just flat out fucking cheating. So, Group B, 1985 sort of time, WRC. So there was no cameras in the cars, and it wasn't like they didn't have helicopters like shadowing them across stages. And
Right.
Audi Works Quattro, and basically it was the Ivory Coast WRC stage, and fucking who was it? It was like Michel Moulton. I can't remember how you say his name. Michael Moulton, I think. And he started the stage with like a really, really poorly Audi Quattro, and there was an engineer in a mechanically similar support car following him.
Right.
Now,
Mechanically similar, you say?
yeah, so basically, like, there was a lot of accusations about this, but I don't know if it was ever proven. But it wasn't like a wholesale engine swap, but a whole car swap. And apparently, they took the race car panels off the panels off the racing car and put them onto the healthy support car chassis.
Right,
So
okay.
they took all the damaged
So it's just the
bodywork
damaged bodywork.
off and bolted it onto the mechanically okay car so that it looked the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy went off and absolutely stormed through the Ivory Coast stages. And it's an accusation. I don't think it was ever proven. But yeah, that's one of the other WRC ones. But that one's like, if that's true, it's just outright cheating. There's no like, oh, we were working inside the rules here. It was like you had a fucked car and a good car, and you made the good car look like the fucked car.
That's yeah, that's quite clever actually.
It is clever, so it is.
But how did they switch over the body panels? Was that just like when?
How do you mean?
You know, they swap over the body panels of the cars.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if you want to swap the front wing off of your car, for example, all you need is a 10mm spanner.
No, I get that it's quick, and I mean, you've seen the rally mechanics at work. They get a set amount of time in between stages to fix stuff. They are fast, but
Oh
like,
yeah,
where do you do it if you know what I mean? Do they literally just do it on one of the bits of the stages that don't have any like camera coverage, and they just literally come to a stop and like fucking start working on the car?
yeah. Like that's what the accusation is anyway. That they just stopped at the side of the stage because it was like 85. Like there wasn't like helicopters shadowing them,
Aye.
and they didn't have like cameras on the cars either. So like all the footage, if you look at Group B, you get the odd bits and pieces that are filmed from inside the car, but most of it's all guys standing on the side of the stage.
Mm.
So if you stop in a guy where they're in a place where there's nobody there, it's like, well, you've got carte blanche to do whatever the fuck you want now.
I mean, I kind of understand. I can see how they were like, yeah, okay. We can do this. We can make this happen.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. It's like we need to do something because the car's like not great, and if we get caught, we get banned. But we're not winning anyway. But if we don't get caught, we win, or we do much better than we are at the minute. So like you can see how it's like a zero-sum game almost, you know?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Fuck, I think that's a bit too blatant for me, actually, literally swapping the cars. I like the creativity, but I'm not sure that's a cheat that I would myself do.
No, I think it's a bit on the nose. Like, really, why? You know, there's not no any need for this. Like, this isn't like in the spirit of the rules sort of cheating. This is just straight up.
It's
Fuck you, we can't beat you,
blatant
so-
cheating.
Oh yeah, this is full on. Like, no, there's no diplomatic immunity here. This is like, no, it's just cheating, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's do F1.
Yes. Now, there's one that we covered previously with F1, and I remember you telling it very well.
Oh, which one was that?
And that was McLaren's Spygate. As
Oh,
another gate.
yeah. Another gate. Aye, I do. I can give a broad strokes on that one, because we did cover it before in the F1 episode. But basically, long and short of it was, McLaren got a hold of Ferrari technical design documents for their car for that season. They were looking at them. Maybe it's not known as to how far they'd like got to implementing anything or actually like using that information, but it all kind of got found out because the I think it was the wife of one of the guys who'd like actually acquired the documents from Ferrari. Took it to like just a local like print shop just to get like some copies made. And like the guy behind the counter was like, all of these technical documents with Ferrari, Scuderia Ferrari, and like, you know, kind of plastered all over them. It kind of looks a little bit sus, you know?
Yeah.
So he like emailed Ferrari and they were like, yeah, okay, thanks for pointing that out. And it became a massive deal. Like the FIA kind of got like dragged McLaren in front of the kind of their wee little court, and they didn't really have any evidence. They had like nothing really going on. They couldn't prove that McLaren had actually like seen the documents themselves. They could only prove that this guy who was like, I can't remember if he worked for them at the time or he was just associated, had the documents. Like, so he'd done theft, but was there cheating involved? But then the McLaren boss, Ron Dennis, fell out with Fernando Alonso, one of his drivers, because of Fernando being like a passionate race driver and him and Lewis not really getting on very well as racing teammates and kind of just dicking each other about. And kind of Lewis was like the favourite boy at McLaren. So Alonso got pissed off and then messaged the FIA to be like, oh yeah, they totally did see those documents. So the FIA hauled him back in front of the court, and this time it was a proper like, you know, guilty. So McLaren stripped to the championship, and what the fine I think is a record in sport. It was $100 million. I don't think they ever paid that fully. But it was either way. It was a massive fine, like $100 million, not just being stripped of that year.
Yeah, like that's a lot of development money. Even in Formula One, that's a lot of development money.
Oh yeah, I think it almost completely wiped McLaren out.
Yeah.
In fact, it kind of did, because they kind of have started. It's not really been that long since they've started to come back. You know.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they were still operating and they were just, you know, poorly funded but. Yeah, totally. That's what you get when you mess with the FIA's special little boy in Ferrari.
Yeah, you don't fuck with our golden boy, like, do you?
No, you know, you've got to be nice to Ferrari.
But you know, I kind of like that they were like, this is a really stupid idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. And my favourite part about this is how he got caught.
Yeah, no, that's an absolute banger. Like. Such a stupid, a fantastically mundane way of getting caught. Just fucking print it at home, mate. Yeah, buy a printer.
I bet there's an alternate timeline where, like, McLaren's the new Ferrari and Ferrari went bankrupt trying to fucking desperately try to fucking get their aerodynamics back on top.
Yeah, I mean, this could have saved McLaren bank.
Oh, yeah. Like... This would have been massive if they got away with it. And
if they got away with it.
If they got away with it. That's the thing, though. Like, all cheating is if you got away with it. I actually have a bit more depth on this, though, because in my research, so it was Mike Coughlin.
Right. Oh, was that the guy that had the documents at his house?
Yes. And it eventually dragged Renault and Honda's F1 teams into it as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Honda actually released a statement over it, saying that both Stepney and Coughlin had approached the team in relation to, air quotes, job opportunities, and that no confidential documents had been offered or received.
Okay, yep, to be honest, a very Honda-esque response. I just on the side, I really love the way the like Japanese businesses do like their kind of like they're like memorandums of cooperation, or they've got some specific name, where it's like they like get together and sign a nice document being like, we will try and work together.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. And I like their really, like, kind of overly polite corporate prose and speeches. It always makes me laugh. Because when you read that, you're like, that could mean anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, they like a gentleman's agreement, so they do in Japan. Like, that's why everything in the 90s had, like, 280 brake horsepower.
Was that gentleman's agreement not a little bit like the German gentleman's agreement to not go over a certain horsepower
speed.
as well? Or a speed,
Yeah.
was that it? Yeah. Maybe wasn't that just a load of wank?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, they even cheated in that, because, like, see, legend has it, if you bought an R34 GTR brand new, you know how anything yellow under the bonnet you're allowed to touch as an owner, and it doesn't
I can't
your
remember.
warranty. So, like, anything yellow. Well, apparently there was a boost line with a yellow T in it.
Oh, so
And
you could just turn it open.
yeah, so basically there was a yellow T in a little baggie in the car, and if you went under the bonnet and took this yellow T out of a boost line and put this other yellow T in, it was basically the one that was fitted as standard was a restrictor pill, and it gave them like 320 brake when you swapped that out because it upped the boost.
Oh my god.
It was
Yeah,
also,
these gentlemen's agreements never work.
no. Although, I have to say, Toyota, despite their fucking cheating nature in WRC, were actually, like, they made a lot of material, like, spec changes to cars that this had quite a lot to do with. So, like, the Supra factory turbos, the Japanese spec vehicles had ceramic turbine wheels,
Right?
because they didn't have to run at such a massive high boost pressure to make 280 brake. So they just put, I think it was like CT12As. Sorry, that was on the 1J pre-facelift one. So like like a 94 Soarer, like what I had two CT12As. And then I think like the Supra had like a CT12 and a CT20, I want to say, because they were sequential. But they had like ceramic turbine wheels, and you had there was an issue when they came over to the UK and folks started playing about with them that they would put them too much boost on them and they would delaminate the wheel and it would just obliterate everything. Yeah, no, it's quite cool. Like, there's another one as well. So Suzuki made a really fast motorbike, and I can't remember what it was called. And then Honda were like, "That's ridiculous. We've made a bike called the Blackbird, and it's even faster than that." And then Suzuki were like, "Bitch, hold my beer." And they were like, "Well, here's our new bike called the Hayabusa." Now, the Hayabusa is a falcon that lives in Japan, and its primary prey is blackbirds. And they got it fantastic naming convention.
Yeah,
But they got into like a top speed fight, and like the Hayabusa was like in the end was doing like over 200 mile an hour, and this was like in '98 when this was like a ludicrous speed.
I mean, it kind of still is, to be honest.
Yeah, but like in the '90s, a working man, like I could realistically in the '90s, if everything was the same, but it was 30 years ago, I could walk into a Suzuki dealership and finance for like a couple £100 a month a motorbike that would do over 200 mile an hour.
Insane levels of speed.
It was insane accessibility to this level of speed, and it was the Suzuki basically were like, we'll calm down, we'll limit the bikes to 180 mile an hour, and that's fast enough.
Sensible.
So yeah. Back to the Spygate, and so that was what Honda did. They released that statement saying no documents had been offered or received, and Renault also got pulled into it, and they were found guilty.
Oh, what did they do?
They were found guilty of seeing the documents.
Really?
But they weren't fined.
Really?
Yeah, and 4 employees from 3 Formula One teams were fined a total of $630,000 over it as well, as in
Wow.
individual employees.
Honestly, the court case for that was still rumbling on, like, until quite recently in Italy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, it's absolutely nuts, isn't it?
It is. It's ridiculous, really. So yeah, that's my favourite one from Formula One. It's just
It's a good
because of how
one.
they were caught as well. There's some that are just a bit silly though. Was it Renault actually? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Renault in Singapore, 2008. So it was the first Singapore Grand Prix,
Mm-hmm.
and Alonso and Piquet were qualified shit. They were like 15th and 16th place respectively.
Right.
But the team boss and the engineering boss were like, "We've got a plan, boys. Don't worry. So we're going to try and exploit the rules with a safety car."
Okay, yeah.
So the field lined up behind the pace car, and the pits were open. The drivers peeled off. Alonso, who'd pitted 3 laps earlier for tyres and fuel, moved up through the field to first, right behind the pace car, and he went on to win the race. But the allegations didn't come to light until like a year later. Benton gave Piquet, sorry, I fucking cannot say his name at all, the flick. In return, he spilled the beans on what became known as Crashgate, and it triggered the resignation of the engineering boss and the team principal.
What, of
And
Renault?
Yeah, and Renault were banned from F1 altogether.
Wow.
It was suspended for 2 years pending further rule infringements, but basically they came up with this plan to basically, it relied on someone crashing, and it was timing after that, so that basically when the car comes out, nobody can really change positions, can they? But everyone bunches up.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it kind of penalises the leaders and then lets all the guys at the back of the pack get up, and everybody bunches up behind the safety car, and that's what they were on. So that was like what they were doing. But I mean, I don't know if that's really like an out and out cheat.
I mean, exploiting a crash and pitting under safety car, totally fine. Like, if you deliberately crash to cause a safety car, I think that's cheating.
That's where the change is, I think, right? Yeah. I loved it, like I thought it was class. And Piquet actually crops up a couple more times in this, although that was junior in Singapore, but Piquet Senior was part of the water-cooled brakes, the Brabham car.
Oh no, yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. This is such a great interpretation.
Yeah, this is absolutely beautifully done. Like, this is chef's kiss cheating. So it was turbo era, and many stuck with like naturally aspirated V12s rather than swapping to turbos. Because the V12s were down on power compared to the turbo cars, they found a way to improve power to weight. And
In a big way.
yeah, in a big way. And surprise, surprise, apparently Lotus designer Colin Chapman is credited with the idea.
Our boy back.
Yep, he's like, honestly, see when we done the Formula One episode, man, I could not believe how much Colin Chapman was fucking responsible for.
He was busy, like.
He was a busy boy. But apparently, Nelson Piquet had the best use of water-cooled brakes. So he won the 82 Brazilian Grand Prix temporarily. So, like, it was about 60 litres. So
Which is
the
an
brake
insane amount of
reservoir.
weight. That's 60 kilo.
Yeah, that's mental. In a car that, like, I mean, how heavy is a Formula One car? It's like 600 kilos, roughly, for a modern one.
Do you know what? I actually don't know. That's put me on the spot.
I think it's about 600 kilos. It's definitely less than 800. But I mean, you're talking nearly 10% of the entire car weight.
They're about 800 kilos.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
Under, but about.
yeah. So I mean, really, you're talking like 8%, 7% of your total car weight, which isn't. It's not a lot, but it's also not like inconsequential.
You would totally take it.
Oh, absolutely. So they had this water that was dumped from the air quotes brake reservoirs, right? And it made the car lighter for the race. But then post-race, the rules dictated that the teams top up all the fluids including the now empty water reservoirs, so it would then meet the minimum weight requirement.
What a look you would get if you were like, oh, I'm just going to top up the fuels after the race, and you're sticking like a hose into the car and just letting it run.
Oh yeah, it's like, just keep filling up the tanks, boys. Like running about. Do you know what would make my day is if all you seen going down the pits was like somebody with like 2 water coolers for like a water,
like
the
an office water cooler.
Like walking down the pit with like 2 of them, like.
It's for the hospitality suite.
Yeah, that's it. And they're like, well, why are you taking it to your car then? Oh, it's a detour. But yeah, so Piquet's car and Keke Rosberg, I think is how you say it. He had second placed with the Williams car. They were both disqualified after a protest from the turbo-powered Renault, who was then the new winner.
Yeah. I mean, if you're third, you're going to protest.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be like, oh well, I'll just take that on the chin. You're going to like, no, fuck that. Complain.
Absolutely. Oh, that is a fantastic one. I love a mechanical cheat.
Yeah, it's beautifully done. Like, I've got another mechanical cheat as well. Formula One, again, I've actually got a couple of good ones from Formula One, man. So, like 2011, 2014,
right?
And it was Red Bull won like 4 consecutive championships from 2010 to 2013, and it was as much like innovation and technology as it was like grey area of the rule book.
Totally.
So it was the RB7 car, and it had a flexible and many of the rivals claimed illegal front wing.
Is that designed to like kind of? Well, did it drop under downforce?
You know, I've actually seen this in. I've not seen it in person, but I've seen videos of it in modern supercars. So I believe Ferrari. It was like the 458 and whatever the V12 one was at the time.
Yeah, they've got the little kind of side aero. I don't even know what you call them, but yeah, they move up and down under wind load.
Yeah, so like it almost creates a Venturi, the coolant ducts, and then at low speed it opens up, and it's a really cool concept.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, aerodynamics is sick. So cool what you can do.
And see when you can make active aerodynamics, which is just active through the function of aerodynamics. Like there's no moving parts. It's literally just doing what it does, but you design it to deform in the way that gives you an advantage. That is beautiful.
Also, you get some really cool and interesting designs out of exploiting aerodynamics. I do love a little bit of function driving form.
Yes, it's really cool. So the thing with this was the wing was designed to allow the car to pass tech inspection.
Yep, natural, because they measure everything stationary.
Yeah, so it was like a legal height while it was standing still. It was a bit like, so there was one. I think this is the car. So you know how movable aerodynamics were outlawed quite early. I think it was like 1969.
Yes, yeah, they were clamped down quite quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. So Brabham, is it Brabham? It's Brabham. Brabham's, that's how you say it. In 81, they had a wing that was designed to deflect down as the car reached race speed, and it lowered the gap between the wing and the track for an aerodynamic advantage. So basically, what was done with the car for Red Bull here was the wing was designed by layering carbon composites, allowing it to flex outward and down when it was subjected to the loads. So like the wing passed inspection all season into 2012 and including 2012, but in 2013 the FIA made it stricter testing and they were able to clamp down on like the flexible bodywork. But then at the final race of the 2014 season, Red Bull were penalised again for having the same idea, a flexible front wing in qualifying, and forced to start the race from the back as well. So they were. But I mean, that one, I would say that's just like expert
That's
interpretation.
just innovation, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
I
come up
mean,
a few times where in F1 they've had some sort of mechanism to lower their car's ride height during the race, and then letting it kind of naturally come back up to a in spec
oh,
height for inspection.
oh, Tom, you stole my thunder. That was my next one.
Oh really? Yeah, I mean they're always at it. They absolutely love it.
Oh yeah, like the thing is, like the the other teams were only pissing about and complaining because they didn't think of it first, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely in F1. F1 is very jealousy driven, I would say.
Yes. The one with the suspension, it was a Brabham car, and it was Gordon Murray, apparently, was the designer. And it used hydro pneumatic suspension, so it allowed it to run lower to the track than the rules allowed. At a standstill, though, the car had like the required amount of ground clearance because the cylinders, the hydro pneumatic cylinders, were full, half with air and half with hydraulic fluid. But once the car was up to speed, the downforce provided by the wings would push down on it, expelling just enough of the cylinder's contents to a central reservoir, which would then lower the ride height. And it would remain that height until the end of the race. And then when they had a slow cool down lap, it would relieve the pressure and the car would return to height.
See, that's absolutely excellent because it's not even like an active system. You have to have like a switch on the dash that's like up down. It just does it.
Because it's just how the system works. Like they're just taking advantage of good physics.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool.
So, like, it was legal when the measurements were taken at a standstill, so therefore the car must be legal. That's what Murray was reasoned it as. He's like, well, if it's legal when they take the measurements, then it must be legal. It doesn't matter that the suspension, like, fucking goes down and then comes back up during the race. He says that's just a function of the system.
And I mean, in a way, if the rules just say it has to be this height when it's, at inspection.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing though, because they can't really say, like, it has to be this all the time, because it's impossible. Like, you wouldn't have suspension otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely, it will naturally. And I mean, especially with the amount of downforce those cars run.
Yeah. And my favourite part about this was that Murray, like, to try and divert attention away from the suspension, he mounted like a useless box with wires sticking out of it and stuff. Like he actually tried to camouflage it. It's like it was this aluminium box with like wires coming out of it and going all over the shop. Like that was the attempt to fucking.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
It's fantastic. But then, like, so the system was discovered, and it was debated by rivals following Piquet's win with Brabham in Argentina. And it was like the third race of the 81 season. By the next race, though, it had subsided because there were similar systems being used by all of the competitors. So, I mean, he got an advantage in the early season, but he only ended up winning the title by a point.
Wow, so yeah, everyone caught up.
Yeah.
But it shows you how much that innovation mattered, because if he hadn't had that, he wouldn't have won.
Yeah, like that's the mad thing. It's like, yeah, he only had it for like the first 3 races, and then everyone else copied it. But like to carry that advantage through the whole season even to win still, even if it's only by a point, like that's pretty mad. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Now I have a final one for Formula One. There was lots and lots. Like there's stuff from like the 50s that I was finding when I went researching and that. But
yeah,
this
I
is
can absolutely believe that.
Final one, and it was McLaren again. So
yeah.
it was, the McLaren like their grey areas, you know.
Yeah, they do seem to.
Yeah, this one I think is absolutely beautiful though. This is like fantastic. So it was the second half of like '97 and into the '98 season, and they had a second brake pedal.
Oh yeah. Now this is an interesting one. I kind of know about this, but like, I can't remember I can't remember how it actually worked.
So what it was basically they selected what wheel they wanted to brake, and then it reduced understeer by pivoting the car round in the corners. So you would brake the inside rear wheel on like a left-hander, and it would pull the nose tighter.
Right. That the bit I couldn't remember is if they could shift between which wheel.
Yeah. So so they had the normal brake pedal, and that actioned all four wheel calipers. And then they had this second one, which only worked on the back axle.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they could basically switch what hydraulic circuit it was working on.
So
And
left or right, basically.
yeah, and then it was essentially a bit like active yaw control in a way, because that's what active yaw control does. But active yaw control puts more power to the outside wheel to speed it up, to push you around, whereas all you're doing is braking to drag it round.
Mm-hmm.
And my favourite thing is how it was found out, and it was by sheer luck. There was a photographer shooting the race, and he caught the rear brakes glowing coming out of a turn.
Yeah, they don't usually do that.
No, and everybody was like, all the competition got hold of the photo, and they're like, so why is this? Because you're not braking, so why's your fucking brake red hot? So I mean, it was Coulthard and Hakkinen that were racing for them at the time. And it was a brainchild of an American engineer called Steve Nichols.
Right.
And Coulthard won 2 races and finished third in the championship, while Hakkinen won his first career race and finished 6th in the races where they had this. And then it was, surprise, surprise, Ferrari who led the protest. And they claimed that McLaren were doing something that fits the description of four-wheel steering.
Okay. No, I'm not 100% on that.
I don't really agree. I mean,
At most, it's 3-wheel steering.
yeah, and it's only steering really in the context of like a tank or an excavator, because that's how they work. Is they brake.
Yeah, totally.
They brake a track on the inside to turn, but I mean that doesn't really constitute steering for me. I mean, I would have said it's torque vectoring more than anything.
Yeah, totally. I know. Would you say that active yaw is 4-wheel steering?
No, absolutely not.
I agree.
It's to do with the speed of the wheel. It's not actually changing the angle of attack on your toe axis of the wheel. So I would say it's nowhere near 4-wheel steering. But then I'm not a member of the FIA, so.
And as we've said, the FIA do love Ferrari.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, the FIA agreed and banned McLaren's brake steering system in the early '98 season.
Big sad for McLaren.
Yeah, and it was the same '98 season in which Hakkinen won 8 of 16 races and the F1 championship. So, I mean, the fact that Hakkinen went on to win half the races, was it all that much of a fucking advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Maybe it was
sorry.
a small benefit to an already good car and driver combination.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was like, the absolute be all and end all. But no, so in fact, I tell a lie. That wasn't my last one for Formula One. So
okay, what's the last one?
this one is legitimately just straight up cheating, by the way.
Nice.
Like Michael Schumacher.
Oh wait, what time, man? Is this the one where he drove into? Is it? I can't remember who it was. Was it Villeneuve he deliberately drove into?
He drove into Damon Hill.
Damon Hill.
And it forced them both to retire, but he handed himself the championship because of it.
I often think that Schumacher and Verstappen are quite similar racers. They will race very, very hard to win.
Yeah.
They're also very good. Incredibly fast, but also willing to be quite robust about the way they win.
Oh yeah. there's something about it when it's like, I'm the 7-time world championship, and god damn it, I'm going to be the fucking 8th as well. Like, that's my championship, and if you get in the way, I'm going to crash into you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally gonna take you out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty extreme. And then he done it again in '97. Jacques, fuck, I'm never going to say this, Villeneuve.
Yeah, Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh, right. I wasn't far away. They were separated by 1 point in the championship with 1 race to go. And the FIA later were like, Schumacher, you're guilty of driving with the intention of ending both races. And they disqualified him from the results and the championship, which Villeneuve had already won by finishing 3rd. So then after that, it was like 0-2. And Barrichello, this isn't really cheating per se, because it's legal in the rules, but I would say it's absolute cheating. Like, bullshit, horse shit. This is the thing I have the biggest problem with in Formula 1.
Right.
And it was Barrichello slowed down on team orders to let Schumacher take the win.
Ah, yes.
And then what happened is the crowd booed the podium presentation, and Schumacher was like, oh, no, fuck this, and went and got Barrichello and put him on the top step.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I've won, but here, stand up there to stop these people booing.
Yeah. I get to take the win, though.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, he's got the win, so, you know, it is very much the thing, you know.
Like, again, Schumacher was like the golden boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, there are quite a few good examples from F1 there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a pretty good, like, smattering of cheating.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a cheat for everyone in there.
Oh yeah, like, there's everything in there from, like, blatant just swapping to a different car because we fucked the first one to, like,
yeah,
absolute genius level interpretation of the rules and dancing about in a grey area, which is beautiful.
You got a favourite?
I do. You know, it's the Toyota one.
Oh, damn you, man.
How?
That's my favourite as well.
You know what, right? My favourite's the Toyota Air Restrictor one because it's so elegant. Like, the way they done it was just like, you couldn't even claim this was a mistake. Like, oh, we didn't realise it would happen. Like, it was so well engineered that it was just absolutely spectacular. And my second favourite one, although apparently it's a myth, but I want to believe it's true, is that the Smokey Yuknik, when he rebuilt a car in 7/8 scale.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. He gets man of the match for me.
Oh yeah, he's the GOAT, the MVP.
Totally. But yeah, no, my absolute favourite's got to be that Toyota one. Like, that's great engineering going into being sneaky and cheaty. I like that.
Yeah. Like, it's just fantastic that we're like, we've got an uncompetitive chassis. Will we swatch the chassis? No, we'll just cheat.
Yeah, we've got a very competitive engine, though.
Yeah, like, it's so competitive, it might actually get us banned.
Too competitive.
But yeah, man, I just think it's such a beautiful, like, piss take of, we know the rules say this, but we're going to do this, so it'll be fine.
Absolutely.
Well, that's about it for me, man. I've not really got anything else.
No, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed this. What a great trip into some of Motorsports' more famous cheating scandals. Thanks, Colin. This has been really good.
Yeah, man. No, I've really enjoyed it. Like, I've been looking forward to this episode for a wee while, and I was like, it's time. I need to bring this up as a concept, like, because this is class. But yeah, man. No. Oh well. I think that's it then.
Yeah, that's it from me.
Smashing. Oh well. That's it, folks. You've been listening to Auto Arcadia. If you've enjoyed listening, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe. Leave us a review, 5 stars or better. And like, if it's out of 10 stars, that doesn't mean like give us 6 and call it a day. It means give us 10. But yeah, so I've been Colin Wood. Thank you for listening.
I've been Thomas Hope. Thank you. Goodbye.
Cheerio.